monthly blessings, first and foremost. I've been on this woman for 30 years.
Popped up on me in Vegas a couple of times. He popped up on me in Texas. He popped up on me in Oakland. And every time he does...
Y'all better brace yourselves, because the streets are buzzing, and it sounds like the Al train isn't slowing down anytime soon. It's full speed ahead. Rumor has it that LB, sure, is no longer just casually linked to Luenell. Things might be getting seriously real. We're talking next-level commitment, the kind that whispers wedding plans, shared mornings, and a this is forever type of energy. Now here's where it gets wild. Even Luenell herself seemed a little stunned by how far things have come. She joked about how dating wasn't even on her radar, let alone marriage. And yet here she is, caught up in something that feels bigger than expected. Meanwhile, fans are absolutely eating this up. To them, it's a beautiful moment. Two-season, resilient figures...
He does that, I'm almost ready to have a heart attack. I'm like, what are you... And he popped up on me at the Paramount. I couldn't even, I'm like, I couldn't even get up and hug him. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Young men.
Finding genuine happiness together. It feels raw, grown, and authentic, the kind of love that doesn't need to prove anything. But of course, not everyone is clapping. Critics are still side-eyeing the age difference. The body-shaming crowd refuses to stay quiet. And some skeptics are questioning whether this whirlwind is driven by real emotion or just perfectly timed attention. Still, drama aside, one thing is clear. People are watching, and they're invested. And honestly, if you're just catching up, this whole situation caught everyone off guard. No one had these two on their 2026 bingo card. Earlier this year, they shocked everyone by stepping forward and confirming they were, in fact, a couple. At first...
Oh, no,
That's my guilty pleasure.
Wait, how young? You're talking like 26, 22?
Not, well...
Is that a little too young? Is that giving like
Well,
boy?
too young for what? Conversation? Too young to go eat with? Too young to sleep with?
Dating younger
Cruises
men.
are fun. Oh,
Because men have been doing this.
People didn't even believe it. Some thought the photos and clips floating around were AI generated, but that doubt didn't last long. The two of them showed up together on video, making it crystal clear this is real. Then Luenell dropped a post that had everyone talking. A series of affectionate moments between them, paired with a caption that basically said, "Yes, it's real, and we're done hiding." It was bold, confident, and left no room for doubt. Al followed it up with his own playful response, telling people to stop calling it AI and start recognizing Al, their new identity as a couple. He even threw in some affectionate nicknames, hinting at a deeper connection behind the scenes. And just to clear the air even more, Luenell later explained that this didn't just happen overnight. What the world was seeing might feel sudden, but for them, this connection had been building long before the public ever caught on. Over time,
Been doing this for the longest. How is it dating younger men? I know Madonna's what, 66? And she always dates younger.
yes. Well, dating younger men is very handy
Yes.
because they're young and healthy. And I got multiple levels to my house. I need people to run upstairs and get me shit.
started as familiarity reportedly grew into something deeper, shaped by years of crossing paths, shared conversations, and a comfort level that doesn't usually form instantly in the spotlight. She emphasized that people often misunderstand timelines when it comes to public relationships. From the outside, it looks like something appears out of nowhere, but in reality, there's usually a long stretch of private history that no one gets to see. And in their case, that history seems to matter a lot more than the moment the internet finally noticed. As the buzz continued, fans started dissecting every detail. Old photos resurfaced, past interviews were rewatched, and even small interactions from years ago were reinterpreted under this new lens. Suddenly, everything was being viewed as possible signs that this connection had been there all along. Whether that's accurate or just hindsight bias, it only added more fuel to the conversation. Meanwhile, both Luenell
You know, for real. Shannon Sharp suffers from the same thing that Dennis Rodman suffered from. What's that? I'm ugly, but I made it anyway.
Oh, you think Shannon's ugly?
Yes.
But He has a really nice
You
body.
have to admire his body because he wears his clothes so obviously tight. It's a little sus.
Luenell appeared unfazed by the online chaos. If anything, they leaned into it slightly, continuing to share moments that kept the story alive without directly engaging in every rumor. That approach only made people more curious, because the less they explained, the more the internet tried to fill in the blanks. Supporters, on the other hand, started framing the situation differently. Instead of seeing it as a sudden headline romance, they began describing it as a long overdue alignment, two people finally connecting at the right time in their lives after years of existing in similar spaces. In that view, the shock wasn't that they got together, but that it took so long for it to happen publicly. And still, through all the commentary, memes, and debates, one thing hasn't really changed: the level of attention this relationship continues to draw. Every post, every caption, every appearance seems to restart the conversation all over again. Whether people are rooting for it, questioning it, or just watching for entertainment, the story has clearly struck a nerve in pop culture discussion right now. At this point, it's no longer just about confirmation posts or relationship milestones. It's about how the public interprets love, timing, and visibility in the age of social media. And as long as they keep sharing glimpses into their world, the internet is likely to keep watching closely, trying to piece together what comes next. She even started spilling little details about how this whole thing has been playing out behind the scenes, and honestly, it sounds straight out of a movie. According to her, I'll be sure, wasn't just calling or texting. He was actually showing up wherever she was. Vegas. He pulled up. Texas. He was there. Even when she went back home to Oakland, somehow he appeared again. And it wasn't just once or twice, this became a pattern. She described how every time he surprised her like that, it completely caught her off guard, to the point where she didn't even know how to react. When he showed up at the Paramount, she said she was so stunned she couldn't even get herself together enough to give him a proper hug. It was like her brain just froze, trying to process how someone could be that thoughtful and consistent. But even after both Luenell and Al confirmed they were really together, not everyone was convinced. Some people started pushing the idea that this might all be tied to a project they're working on, claiming they've always been cool and this sudden romance could just be strategic promotion. And honestly, that speculation didn't come out of nowhere, because Luenell has always been very open, almost unapologetically so, about her preference when it comes to men, as she's joked many times about loving her men younger, calling it her guilty pleasure. And she's never really held back when talking about it. In fact, she's openly admitted to dating guys in their mid-20s and enjoying their energy. For her, it's not just about attraction, it's about the vibe. She said younger men tend to be more active, more fun, and easier to keep up with in her day-to-day life. She even laughed about practical things, like meeting someone who can run up and down stairs without a problem. But behind the humor, she made one thing very clear: she has standards. She's not here for immaturity or games. If someone isn't bringing respect and real energy, she's not entertaining it, because she spent years leaning into that cougar persona and joking about it publicly. A lot of people initially brushed this relationship off as just another phase or another name on her list. But that narrative started to fall apart pretty quickly. The two of them kept posting more moments together, photos, videos, little glimpses that made it harder and harder to deny what was really going on. And at that point, it became obvious this wasn't some PR rollout, and it definitely wasn't just Luenell casually adding another man to her story. This looked and felt different. Some of the conversation around it got messy fast, especially when it shifted from opinions to personal attacks and comparisons that really didn't need to go that far. A few people online started focusing less on the relationship itself and more on appearance, turning what should have been a private connection into a public debate. In the middle of all this, the jokes and commentary from interviews and online clips also started getting clipped and circulated, including lighthearted back and forths about looks and attraction. What was originally playful humor in context ended up being used out of context, which only added fuel to the fire and made the discourse even more chaotic. Meanwhile, the backlash itself began to snowball. A lot of people online were reacting strongly to the idea of the age difference between I'll be sure and Luenell, even though both are well into adulthood and established in their own lives. Some critics went as far as suggesting motives that had nothing to do with confirmed facts, especially after AL's recent health challenges were mentioned in discussions. But others pushed back, pointing out that when both people are mature adults, the focus on age gaps tends to be exaggerated depending on who is involved. What stood out most in the public reaction wasn't even the relationship itself, but how differently people were interpreting it based on perception and bias. Supporters framed it as two longtime industry figures finding comfort and connection after years of life experience, while critics reduced it to surface-level judgments at the same time. There's been a recurring reminder from those closer to the situation that this isn't some random or brand new connection. The two have reportedly known each other for years, moving in overlapping circles long before anything romantic was publicly acknowledged. That history is part of why some believe the bond feels more natural to them than outsiders might assume. And through all the noise, the underlying message from their side has stayed consistent. This isn't about public opinion or online narratives. It's about a connection built over time, shaped by shared experiences in an industry where everything is usually filtered through image, expectations, and performance. What really stands out in all of this is how differently people are reacting to the same relationship, depending on what angle they choose to focus on. On one side, Luenell is being seen as someone completely unbothered by outside noise, loud, confident, and very unapologetic about who she is. That kind of energy can be refreshing, especially for someone like Al-B, sure, who has lived a large part of his life under the pressure of the entertainment industry and all the expectations that come with it. For some fans, it actually makes sense. When someone has been through a lot publicly, they may gravitate toward peace, humor, and authenticity over image or performance. That's why a lot of supporters see their dynamic as something more grounded than people assume. Luenell's personality, bold, funny, and unfiltered, stands out in contrast to the polished, often curated nature of Hollywood relationships. And to many observers, that mix of humor and honesty feels like exactly the kind of balance someone would want after years of stress and public scrutiny. At the same time, social media didn't exactly stay calm about it. A few cryptic posts from Luenell sparked breakup rumors, with captions about protecting peace, self-worth, and walking away from situations that don't serve you. Naturally, the internet ran with it. But those close to the situation and ongoing chatter suggest those posts weren't necessarily directed at her relationship at all. They were more in line with her usual style of motivational, self-empowering commentary that she often shares with her audience. And despite all the speculation, the narrative that keeps coming back is that things between her and Al are still going strong. Reports continue to suggest that their connection hasn't weakened, and in fact, some even claim things have been moving toward a more serious direction than people initially expected. Now, whether that actually leads to a Mrs. Al-B sure moment or just remains another talked about Hollywood pairing is something only time will answer. But one thing is clear, the internet is definitely not done watching, analyzing, and debating every move they make.